wa Kingdom of Saudi Arabia nze Alhaji Abdussalam Ali Chinobe agenda kubanga nkutwala ne timu ennene eya Salam TV nolwekyo kati njagala mbenga nkutwala butereevu mu mukolo wakati.
Thereafter, we shall have remarks from the special guest, then appreciation, vote of thanks and closing remarks, and closing thanks. Just to correct some few things that I've not mentioned here, we shall be having, after the national anthem, prayers from Sheikh Ismail Abdurazak. So, allow me to enable the technical people to play us the national anthems. And in respect to the national anthems, can we please stand up? Thank you very much. Can we have take our seats? I now invite Sheikh Ismail Abdurazak Maganda for the opening prayers. Thank you. الضيف الشرف الآن نأتي بالشيخ إسماعيل عبد الرزاق ماغاندا، هو الذي سيقرأ لنا آيات من القرآن الكريم لافتتاح المؤتمر والندوة. فليتفضل مشكور.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را. تلك آيات الكتاب المبين. إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا. إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون. صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you, Sheikh Ismail, for the prayers. We hope, pray that the Almighty Lord will accept it and bless with it our gathering and conference and symposium. Due to the time constraint, we will now rush and make sure that we manage the time very well. We go to the next agenda, which is self-introduction of the participants. Now, I will first of all introduce myself, and then, of course, the participants. Each individual will introduce himself briefly. And the last group to present themselves will be the high table guests. So, first of all, of course, we have a verse that has been revealed by His Almighty Allah with regard to this particular occasion of introduction, that He has created mankind in different tribes and different ethnic groups and colors, reasons being that they should actually know themselves. And of course, it concluded by saying the most and the best creature amongst us will be the one that fears God and is obedient to Him. So in that respect, let me begin first of all by introducing myself. I'm by the names of Dr. Malinga Ramadan Badru, a lecturer at the School of Mathematics and Computing. I've been in the institution for a while. That is all about me. Thank you very much. May I start with the first people in this particular row? We shall first of all finish this group first, then we shall get to the next group on the left-hand side. May I start with this one, then it goes up to that line.
Sorry for my prayer. My name.
Directed a society, formerly was African Muslim Agency. I'm Sudanese by nationality, but the AUA is based in 40.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Banim Ali Hussein, the chairman of the Nigerian Muslim Student Association and also a PhD candidate at Omo University.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Hashim Ibrahim Isala, the Director of Research and Innovation, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Dr. Babangida Ibrahim. I'm the Director of Quality Assurance, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. I'm Dr. Ibrahim Abdullahi, the Director, Higher Degrees and Research, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Tajuddin Sani, Senior Lecturer, School of Law, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Ismail Abdul Razak Maganda, Dawa Secretary, Kampala International University Student Association and Chairman, Muslim Students Association of Uganda.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Wasike Abdulaziz, an Assistant Lecturer of Computer Science, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Sajid Slim. I'm lecturer in KIU.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Sheikh Jamil Uthman Subuga, Assistant Imam, Makari University Business School. Nice to meet you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Nachito Fatima, Examinations Clerk, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Bushra Namzula, Exam Room Department, KIU.
I'm Associate Professor Eric Mabonga, College of Economics and Management, Department of Finance and Accounting, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Abdusalam Tudinawi from College of Economics and Management.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Raduka Jamil from ICT Department, KIU.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is called Nanda Farouk from Directorate of Customer Care Department, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Juma Kasim Mohindo, a coordinator, Kiswahili Department, KIU Mbale.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Muhammad Sabo from the School of Computer and Mathematics, Kampala International University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Rashid Musa Moro from Islamic Holy University College, Kampala.
Good morning, members. I'm Dr. Derek Sekajugo from Kampala International University, Deputy Principal, College of Economics and Management.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Mameton Turanabo. I belong to the Department of Political Studies, Assistant Lecturer and PhD student. God bless you.
Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Abdullahi Muhammad Baba, lecturer, Department of Mathematics and Computing. Thank you. Here are you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Aris Balagade, Senior Lecturer, School of Mathematics and Computing, KIU. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Juma Ahmed Musa, Imam, East Africa University.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Salma Namwanje,
a journalist from NBS TV.
Good morning, everybody. Judith Bakachimpa, Campus Administrator, KIU. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the participants as far as the introduction is concerned. I guess we at least know one another, whoever is sitting beside you. If you came earlier on and perhaps did not know who sat beside you, right now you are in that position. By the time we finish the symposium, we shall be knowing one another as far as the activities are concerned. I wish to apologize to the participants that the first presenter has not arrived. Therefore, we are going to change the program and swap it such that the second presenter will be the presenter or the first presenter. So may I now introduce and call upon the first presenter, that is Dr. the second presenter, that's Dr. Tajuddin Sani, to take up his seat and prepare for the presentation. You're going to take this. Yeah. So we are going to the next program, that is inviting the Vice Chancellor to welcome His Excellency the Ambassador and participants, and invite him to give the opening speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah kareem. Your Excellency and my dear good friends, Your Excellency Mr. Jamal Muhammad Al-Madani and your dear wife, you're most welcome. My Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic Affairs, Dr. Sophie Kaziwe, the directors who have already introduced themselves, principals, deputy principals, heads of departments, our brother from formerly AMA, Director 8, the director of an international organization here in Uganda, all respected invited guests in your capacities, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good morning. I'm so delighted this morning to host His Excellency the Ambassador of the Royal Embassy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia here and his entire team. You have seen them around. Your Excellency, you are most welcome. Can we give them a big round of applause? We do not take this gesture for granted at all, because we also know that the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is leading a huge transformation guided by the Vision 2030 of the Crown Prince and the entire Royal Kingdom leadership. At Kampala International University, Your Excellency, we call ourselves a learning university. We keep learning on a daily. Probably in the arrangements of this symposium, There are mistakes, we do apologize, but we shall do it better next time. Isn't it, Professor Anumaka? You decided not to put your professorship on the introduction. We do have very senior professors here, and I want to welcome you. This symposium is supposed to highlight the bonding between Saudi Arabia and the East African communities. Our scholars who were given ample time to do some research will be able to give us highlights. But for the participants, I want us to start by learning one culture from Saudi Arabia. I hope you take note of the size of the cups of the tea they have given you, so that we start with the transformation. You know, it is small but tasty and nice. I'm sure most of you want a second and third round. I'm very sure about that. I just whispered to His Excellency that I need somebody to train my family to be able to prepare this on a daily basis. Most of you take big mugs. You are not satisfied unless the cup is big. You even go for the second one. So this is a cultural transformation we need to pick from this symposium, so that we appreciate other people's culture, especially from Saudi Arabia. Your Excellency, Kampala International University, before I invite you to address this symposium, is ranked number 2 in this country out of 55 universities. And I'm glad that in the last 8 years I have been the Vice Chancellor of this university. We have undertaken significant transformation, and I am proud because of the team you have seen. This is a dedicated team, regardless of nationality, tribe, religion. We are a mixed race, and we allow freedom of expression and academic autonomy. So please feel at home with your dear wife and the team from the Royal Embassy. Colleagues who are here, please entertain our guests the KIU way. Show them around when they have some time. We do have many things that happen in this university. One of them is that, Your Excellency, because of the effects of COVID-19, this university decided, through the support of the Board of Trustees, who are the promoters of this university, to offer 50% waiver on tuition for programs of undergraduates for Ugandans and for postgraduates for any category, whether Ugandan or non-Ugandan. We want to invite you, members, if you have relatives, sons, or yourselves, the offer still stands even for the January intake in this university. For postgraduate, diploma, masters, and even PhD, you'll get your 50% waiver for the duration of your course in this university. So take advantage of that. I also wish to say that His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Royal Embassy of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, hosted me at the Royal Embassy, and we have discussed a number of issues where we think KIU and the Embassy, KIU will be connected to the Kingdom. There are so many excellent institutions in Saudi Arabia. There are so many things happening, and so when we ask some of you to champion that collaboration, please do not let me down, because I'm driving the KIU bus, and therefore I hope you'll be very good passengers. And also in this symposium, please do not sit with your colleagues. I have seen some of you sitting, you are all from KIU, you are sitting together. You are from Makerere University Business School, you are sitting together. When we have a little break, you can switch so that you network and then build this relationship, the bond that His Excellency is championing, so that we can promote the goodness of our two countries, for God and my country. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now I take this honor to invite His Excellency to address this symposium. Your Excellency, we apologize The hall has these columns. They are very important for the security of the building. Inshallah, when you come next time, the 6th floor is being developed into an international conference facility. We are converting it, and then maybe that time it will be convenient for all of you. So please, the ambassador will have the liberty to stand anywhere or even move, and so that you are able to see him. We warmly welcome you, sir, to address the gathering.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning. It is a great pleasure to see you here today at Kampala International University. We organized a few weeks ago with the IUIU a workshop about the Arabic language and its relation with Swahili language. And we are gathering today here in the same framework to have more knowledge about the culture bonding between Saudi Arabia and East African countries. If any citizen of East African states travels to Saudi Arabia, will he or she feel the culture familiar or so strange? According to my experience, I can confirm it is so much familiar. But what do we have in common? We gain a lot of knowledge in our life, a lot of them in our subconscious. So here it comes the importance of this kind of workshop to highlight and clarify the meaning of some of the knowledge we have gained for a long time. It is my pleasure to announce launching of these activities of this workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor, for giving an information about the first leading private university in Uganda and the second ranking. And we also thank His Excellency the Ambassador for the launching of the conference. Shukran jiddan Abay Sharaf as Said Safir Mamlakati Dawlati Saudiya. We thank you very much for also launching the program. As mentioned by His Excellency the Ambassador, as far as Arabic language is concerned, it is fused in many local languages, and of course it was the reason as to why one of the prominent language has been created in the region, that is Swahili, which is rich with a lot of Arabic vocabularies. Back home here also in our local languages, when you look at, for instance, the Luganda, you have also some borrowed words from Arabic, especially when it comes to swearing. You even find non-Muslims swearing, wallahi. Wallahi, that's what they, and you get surprised, but that is the effect of Arabic language in our local languages. Then we have some tribes around, like the Nubians. When you go into that particular community, you find that the language is almost Arabic, but a broken one, moreover. So, but still, if you are amongst them, you can still pick some words. Then you go to the north, you find there's a tribe like Aringa, for instance. Aringa is almost synonymous with Islam because of their geographical location where they are close to South Sudan. So these are some of the things that we have to look at and observe and highlight. Then as far as generally Africa is concerned, of course, in the North Africa, predominantly we have Arabic being spoken. According to some sources, they say almost 274 million people speak Arabic in Africa. In the West Africa, we have countries which have adopted and spoken Arabic even better than the Arabs themselves, I'm sorry to say. When you go to Senegal, for instance, those people are good in that language. You come to, for instance, Nigeria, Mali, of course, apart from those ones like Mauritania and the Arab speakers in the north, but in the sub-Saharan we have those countries which are speaking Arabic. So just giving you a brief information about the whole continent being influenced by Arabic language. Without wasting time, we go to the next program. We now have two facilitators. Okay. So we now have all the facilitators around and present. We are requesting them to take their positions in the high table right now. We have Mr. Hafiz Swale, the first speaker. Dr. Tajuddin Sani, can you please take your seat in the high table on the other side? And the last speaker, that is Dr. Gana Tusanga, Harun Sinan. Can you please take your position in the high table? I would also like to take this opportunity to announce the presence of Salam TV, who are airing this particular occasion lively on Salam TV. For those who are here, you can equally inform your relatives back home to tune to that particular TV, so that at least you can be seen lively participating in this particular occasion. The first topic is about the cultural and civilization role of Saudi Arabia in East African countries. I would like to give a version of its translation in Arabic. That is okay. So we'll say in Arabic it says that الدورة دورة الثقافة والحضارة حضارة السعودية مملكة السعودية في نمو دولة شرق أفريقيا أو دول شرق أفريقيا. Now the second topic is about the role of Arabic language in strengthening the bond between Saudi Arabia and East Africa. That translates into Arabic as being الدورة اللغة العربية في توطيد وتوثيق العلاقة بين السعودية ودول شرق إفريقيا. Then the last one is about the integration of socio-economic development between Saudi Arabia and East African countries, translated into Arabic as دمج التنمية الاقتصادية الاجتماعية بين المملكة السعودية العربية ودول شرق إفريقيا. So these will be some of the topics that will be presented, but I will request the participants to also indulge in the discussions such that the whole discussion becomes lively and we get more information and get more informed about this particular topic. So, may I now invite the second speaker, that is Dr. Tajuddin Sani, who is going to present the role of Arabic language in strengthening. Has he taken this position? Okay. I've been informed that the first presenter is round, that is Mr. Hafiz Swaleh. I now invite Mr. Hafiz to take up his position at the high table. The high table is the other side. You want to stand here and present? Okay, thank you. He has requested that he will be presenting at the podium. So let me give him the space. You're welcome, Mr. Hafiz. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Maybe by way of self-introduction, my name's Hassan Hafiz Saleh. I'm a lecturer from the Islamic University in Uganda, Faculty of Education, and at the same time I'm the Secretary General of the Union of Uganda Muslim Professionals. Let me begin by thanking the organizers of this symposium and the management of KIU for availing me this opportunity of presenting and sharing with you. To begin with, I would like to say that my presentation will be very brief because I think it is more like a trigger for further discussions in this symposium. And I would say that probably I may not have given the topic that due diligence maybe it would call for because of somehow the short notice of the invitation. But however, I believe with all the heads involved here, by the end we should be able to come up with what is required from this topic. To begin with, as a form of introduction, maybe, we are talking about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Al-Mamlakati Al-Arabiya Al-Saudiya. According to records, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is the 13th largest country in the world, and it is the second largest in the Arab world after Algeria. It covers approximately 830,000 square miles. About 95% of its land is actually desert or semi-desert, and only 1.45% is arable land. However, it should be noted that this country has the largest oil field in the world. And when we talk about oil, I think we know what we mean. Currently, the whole world now is crying, basically because of oil. The war in Ukraine and Russia, okay, is affecting the economy, and mostly because of what? Oil. So Saudi Arabia has the largest oil field, which is known as Ghawar, with about 75 billion barrels of oil still available. Population-wise, the country has around 36.68 million people, and that is the estimate of this year, 2022. And the GDP per capita is of US dollars 23,507. I've not gone into detail to quote the GDP of other countries, but I think at least East Africans, we know our GDPs. So we can compare to that. Okay? Saudi Arabia, as a country, came into much more prominence on the world scene during the reign of King Faisal, and that is from the mid-1960s to 1975. That is when the country became more prominent, especially in world affairs. When I move on to the cultural and civilizational role in East Africa, according to my brief research which I was able to carry out in the short notice, I realized that mostly the influence of culture and civilization of Saudi Arabia in East Africa is in terms of education, in the educational field. And I think this is very relevant to us in this symposium, as we are in an educational institution. Of course, thousands of graduates have been produced coming from East African countries, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and also the others that have joined the East African community of late. Many of them have studied in Saudi Arabia, okay? And they have graduated from Saudi universities in all fields, both humanities, sciences, and others, okay? I think you may be knowing some, but a number of prominent personalities here locally in Uganda have graduated from Saudi Arabia, okay? Right from, if we talk about the Mufti of our country, okay, here, Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubajje, okay? If you look at other high personalities, we have Dr. Muhammad Ahmad Chisule, Senior Presidential Advisor on Middle Eastern Affairs. Okay, we have Dr. Semodu Rashid, Ambassador to the Republic of Sudan now, and many, many others. Of course, time cannot allow us to mention them. So, most of these graduates are serving in their countries in different capacities, in different organizations, both national and local, okay, and so on, okay? When we come into the discussion, maybe you should be able to point out some others. Then many of the teachers and lecturers in Islamic institutions, okay, in these countries, that is the East African countries, are graduates again from those graduates from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Okay? For example, we have the Islamic University in Uganda. You will pardon me for mentioning maybe IU first because I'm from there maybe. I'm not so conversant with the KIU, okay, graduates from Saudi Arabia. But IU, okay, we have very many, especially in the Faculty of Islamic Studies and Arabic language, okay. We have the Muslim University in Morogoro, Tanzania, okay. We have the Sumait University in Zanzibar, okay. We have the Khalifa College in Mombasa, Kenya, and so on and so forth. Most of them are being run, okay, by graduates from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, both in administrative positions and also in teaching positions and so on, okay? Then another point of the cultural and civilizational role is seen in the promotion of Arabic language use, okay, in these countries. Definitely, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has played a very big role in promoting the use of Arabic language. Just as His Excellency the Ambassador has mentioned, just, was it last month or before, they organized a workshop for Arabic teachers, okay? And they've been doing this for many years, okay? Arranging workshops, seminars, symposiums for Arabic language teachers of different levels. Primary schools and institutes, secondary schools, and also universities and higher institutions of learning. So that promotion of Arabic language is a key factor in the cultural and civilizational role. And that's why even they established, for example, here in Uganda, we have the Saudi Cultural Center, okay? And it has been even carrying out courses of Arabic language periodically, okay, for different professionals, okay? So that is a big cultural and civilizational role played by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in East Africa. Of course, then there is also the sponsorship of educational programs, health facilities, and orphanages through Saudi non-governmental organizations, okay? They do sponsor students and educational programs. They do sponsor health facilities and orphanages, okay? Through organizations like the Muslim World League, the International Islamic Relief Organization, and so on, okay? I remember very well our host here, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mohammed Mpezamihigo. I remember he once worked with the World Muslim League early after his graduation, okay? He one time served. So all those are organizations under sponsorship of the what? Of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And they are playing a big role, okay? They set up orphanages, okay? Set up schools, and so on and so forth. So that is a big role also played. Then another issue is that they have endeavored to preserve Islamic culture in terms of dress and Islamic teachings, among others. That is through the maintenance of Islamic dress, okay? I think, for example, we have there is a sheikh there who is seated there. I think you can see how he is adorned, okay? those are some of the influences, okay, of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in dress, okay? Then they have also been able to stock both public and institutional libraries with Islamic literature and distributing free copies of the Holy Quran, okay? If you bother to take note, you'll find that almost, I think, 90, if I could say maybe 98% of the copies of the Holy Quran that we see around are from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, okay? Very few are from elsewhere. So they have maintained this in all countries, okay? And more specifically, as we're mentioning here, in the East African countries, okay? And then, of course, there is that issue of availing opportunities to Muslims to perform both Hajj and Umrah to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina continuously every year, okay? Because of that need of Muslims to perform the pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina, okay? The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is almost every year improving on facilities and opportunities, okay, to enable people perform what? That pilgrimage. I think you even hear that almost every year there are some opportunities, okay, that are given to, for example, the elderly, okay? Some are given to those people who are not able, okay? And even opportunities are given to special categories of visitors who are usually referred to as visitors of the King of Saudi Arabia to go and perform pilgrimage. Maybe here I can again mention that our host, the Vice Chancellor, I remember in the year which I made my first pilgrimage in 2006, he was also a guest of the King of Saudi Arabia during Hajj. So those opportunities are availed, okay? And it increases the bond between our institutions in Eastern Africa and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, okay? There are other fields in which the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has also had an influence, but as I said, for me, I was mostly interested in the educational side, but also in other fields like architecture, okay? In terms of construction, the way constructions are carried out, okay, has been so much influenced also by the architecture in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, okay? I think Your Excellency, the Ambassador, and our esteemed guests, as I said, my presentation here, I've intended it more to be of a trigger to encourage or to incite us into coming up with more issues. I didn't want to go so much in detail. I believe there are very many other intellectuals here who can add on. And also other aspects you'll find that they are in one way or another also covered in the other presentations that are going to be made. So I thank you for listening to me. Wa hadha, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, you can go back to the high table. Thank you very much, Mr. Hafiz Swaleh, for this presentation, which gave us a highlight on the cultural and civilization role of Saudi Arabia in East Africa, African countries. Allow me to also comment on this particular topic a little bit. probably this can actually trigger some kind of intellectual discussion and thinking along that particular line. I believe that given the geographical location of Africa and Saudi Arabia, their closeness, whether they are separated by the Red Sea, but there was that closeness which was there. The cultural and civilization relationship maybe might have started before the dawn of Islam, because trade used to exist between these two continents and nations. And of course, in the process, the culture and the civilization will infiltrate into the continent, more especially the Eastern African coastal line. Now, when we talk about the East African coastal line, we'll not only focus on the great East African countries, which are Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, but we'll talk about it beginning from Sudan, okay, along the way down to probably Mozambique. That's where we can see that, the effect of that cultural and civilization infiltration is in. Now, talking about the most important components of culture and civilization here, we'll maybe look at, to guide our thinking and discussion, we'll be talking very much about issues to do with the food. Of course, we see that spices are full in our markets. And of course, all those things might have come as a result of that particular cultural exchange and infiltration into the continent. Then we have the element of religion, we have the element of architectures. When you look at our buildings and some of the mosques, and a lot of you still, we have those designs that come from those areas of Saudi Arabia. Then we have clothing as also another important cultural element here. In our case, we have adopted the kanzu as our national dress. In most occasions, you will always see it. It's there, and of course, I guess this must have come from Saudi Arabia. Then the elements of burials, actually social occasions among the Muslims, you'll find that, of course, they follow that. Then you have music as well. We have in the Eastern African coastal zones like Mombasa, Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. Taarab is one of the musics that have been adopted, and you find that the culture is there. Then, of course, the language that was mentioned by my colleague here, Mr. Hafiz, the first facilitator. And then, of course, we talk about also education in terms of scholarships as well, and many others. So, if we are to discuss this particular topic that has been presented, then these particular components will guide our discussion along that particular line, and we can actually expand. So we now open up for discussion and probably questions from the participant regarding this particular topic. We have between 5 to 10 minutes for that, so the floor is open.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Banawa Yassin, and as regards to our lecture, allow me to thank the presenter, Professor Lamid, for the wonderful presentation. To myself, it has made a lot of sense because it has highlighted key areas as regards to cultural bonding between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the East African countries. You allow me maybe select one item that has been highlighted in his presentation, and that is sponsoring the educational sector. You allow me mention here to you that Saudi Arabia has done well in that line, since I will give you an example. Saudi Arabia is sponsoring Makerere University Arabic subject, and I am one of those beneficiaries. So it is a testimony that Saudi Arabia is moving in the direct line as regards to cultural bonding. I did my postgraduate diploma on their money, and after that program, I acquired a job at Makerere University with a bachelor's degree. So I am very proud and very happy to see here the ambassador, Yani, the ambassador propelling the move towards the teaching and the propagating of the Arab culture in Uganda. So I thank you very much, and allow me say that with this program of Arabic language at Makerere University, we are grabbing, or we are attracting even non-Muslims. I myself now, I am teaching non-Muslims from first year to third year. And those students are very wonderful. We are trying to inculcate the Islamic culture through language. We have the Remis, we have the Alphas. Those non-Muslim students are appreciating our culture. So I call upon you, Your Excellency, the ambassador, to continue that spirit. And I thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay. Thank you for that comment. And please, may I bring to our attention that each presenter or discussant have only 2 minutes to comment, discuss, or ask questions. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. All protocols duly and observed. دعوني أن نتحدث باللغة الإنجليزية لأن الأكثر الناقشون يفهم اللغة الإنجليزية مع العربية. Now, on the course of the discussion, Your Excellency, sir, the presenter present about the cultural civilization, which, if you look at it from his presentation, there is also what I want to clarify about the Jazeera, that is the Arabian Peninsula. I think in the course of the presentation, there is need to mention that part of the Jazeera, Al-Arabiya, it has even infiltrated into Mombasa, that Jazeera of Arab, of the ancient civilization. So if I may ask, that civilization that come to Mombasa, that infiltrated up to Uganda, what are those antiquities that we need to also understand in this presentation? This is one of the clarifications that I need. I thank you.
Okay, that's the question. I guess, Mr. Hafiz, you got it about the antiquities. It's something like a question.
Please, can I come again with the question?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yes, my question is that part of the Jazeera al-Arab, the Jazeera al-Arab, that is the Arabian Peninsula that infiltrated from Saudi Arabia up to Yemen, there is also infiltration up to Mombasa in their culture and antiquities. So this is why I want to get the clarification for further benefit of the conference. I hope it's clear now.
Yeah, thank you. It's clear. Okay, we can still continue as he has taken that point.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name Juma Kasim Mohindo. أعتز بلغة العربية. I feel proud of Arabic language. I'm in the Kiswahili department, but I want to talk about one component, and that is Kiswahili poetry. The history of Kiswahili poetry can be seen far back in 1973, whereby we have prominent Kiswahili poets. One of them was Mwana Kupona, and we have another Abdallah who had Al-Inkishafi. There is no any Kiswahili poem or class that can study poetry without studying those poems. But my point is, we are thankful to Saudi Arabia for following up. I'm a researcher of comparative study of poetry in Arabic and Kiswahili, but with my colleagues in Kiswahili department or Kiswahili research, we find that some of them do not want to associate Kiswahili with the Arabic language given the cultural teaching and development in those poems. When we try to look at Mwana Kupona wrote much of Kiswahili, whereby of Arabic language in Kiswahili, and in it he gave some teachings which are culturally Arabic and influencing Kiswahili and Africans in development, among which we have Athika, trustworthy, we have An-Nasiha, we have Al-Karama, which is what we call generosity. All of those are taught in those poems in Kiswahili, but influenced by Arabic. What am I meaning here? I'm saying in Kiswahili basic poetry, we have an influence of Arabic language and its culture that have caused most Swahili speakers and scholars develop in that line. Thank you for listening.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ismi Faruk Nanda. To talk about Arabic and Arabic civilization, the fact that the Quran was revealed in Arabic, the Holy Quran, that brings Arabic a unique language, such that even the young-born student or a young-born child of a young age can master that Arabic language. You are like memorizing the Quran. That brings us, it makes us to bond with that language of Arabic. We thank you so much. And for example, another thing is that Saudi Arabia, it has opened its boundaries, and now we are seeing that most of the African personnel, they cross over and in search of income, and it has helped our sisters and brothers. Now they are growing so much. We thank you so much. We thank the Kingdom of South Arabia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Protocol observed. Maybe I will be the only person who will not appreciate, because in research we look at the gap. And for me, I will talk more about the gap I see with the Arabic culture. I believe, as a political scientist, that the only asset we have as Africans and as Arabs is our culture. The West has more money than all of us. At least Arabs are still lucky, you still have some money. But our culture as Africans and Arabs is being eroded by the West. We all know it. I was at a holiday in Dubai in December, and I spent there about 2 weeks. I've never been to Saudi Arabia. Maybe Ambassador will give me a ticket one of these days so that I can make a better analysis. But in Dubai, I looked at the Arab culture being evaded and finished. I don't know if you still talk of an Arab culture in Dubai. In Dubai, there is a secular culture, and I believe it is coming close to most of the Arab countries and Africa, being eroded by the West. I was so astonished because I was in an Arab country and people were putting on bikinis and in the open space. It is not even bikinis. I don't know, some of you, if you've seen those things being sold in shops. And it is against the Arab culture. So which Arab culture is left? And this is because the West has put a lot of money into eroding both our Arab culture and African culture. Here in Uganda, we know the opportunity. I'm giving you the opportunity as the opportunity is that at least there's been Swahili, which has been introduced. But I'll tell you, as East Africa, when this Swahili was, it was about 10 years, 20 years when you talk of East African cooperation, but because of lack of funding, this Swahili will never be spoken. By now, the Saudi and Arabic countries, the work you have to do, and the gap I'm giving you is, first, let us understand Swahili, because Swahili is what we identify with first. And when we identify with Swahili, we'll identify with Arabic, definitely. But here we should be speaking Swahili, not even English. But we cannot even speak English. Because for us, we've been finished, by the way, Africans, we've been finished, like here in Uganda, by the Western culture, that have to communicate with you people in English. The first thing would be Swahili. So I would think our Arab brothers who still have some money in their coffers, because we should work together, even Africa, and we still have resources to strengthen our culture, especially funding languages like Swahili. Then after Swahili, we go to Arabic. Because a person like me, I should be speaking Swahili. Mi najua Swahili kidogo. But I should, now, unfortunately, even our young people should start being strengthened in Swahili. Then somewhere, we catch up with, my time is up, but we catch up with Arabic, then there we can start our conversation from there. But if you are here talking about Arab culture, African culture, it has been greatly evaded by the West. And the reason is because for them they no longer have any culture. So they want to destroy whatever we have and they finish it. And we are looking on, supporting them by speaking this English of theirs. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. You have now put the real discussion into the right path. Can we give another two opportunities to other people to? We are constrained by time, please. Would have loved to give more chances to people to express themselves and air out their view regarding this particular topic. For the sake of gender balance, we are going to give two opportunities to two female participants. Yes. Please observe time.
Thank
2
you.
minutes.
The Saudi Arabian culture and civilization has had a positive influence on the tourism sector, Because of Hajj, we are able to embrace faith-based tourism. For example, we have 3rd June, people going to Namgongo and visiting other holy places like Israel and Rome. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum once again. My name is Hamsa. I will take this opportunity to thank everyone that brought this idea of bringing the Arabic culture here in KIU International University. But then, the good thing is that the VC is here and the ambassador, you're welcome. I want to talk about the Arabic language. We would love to have sponsors for the Arabic language and for the introduction of Arabic here in KIU. I'm speaking because I'm a teacher by profession and Islam is one of my teaching subjects, if at all you didn't know. So, I did Arabic in Senior 4 and it was one of my best subjects. I would love, and I would love to be one of the I would love to be one of those ones that are being sponsored for the Arabic language. No one has talked about it here, but we want that. I would want to add it on my postgraduate so that I can also have it. You know, you can't teach Islam without bringing Arabic in it. So, with my humble request, and you bringing this conference, please, I'm on my knees.
Thank you.
Introduce us to that.
Thank you.
Sponsor us, and you're welcome. You're always welcome here at KIU, and I'm glad meeting everyone. Have a nice time here in KIU.
Thank you very much, Madam Hamsa. I hope the point has been taken. Okay. Because of time constraint, we now end this discussion on this particular topic. We would like to proceed to the next presentation. Now, looking at what our colleagues have raised, there's no doubt about what our colleague in Kiswahili, the Kiswahili scholar, that of course the influence of culture and civilization in Kiswahili is obvious, and of course it has made it to become one of the most prominent languages across the world. Some of us, we may not know the importance of Swahili, but when you go to some of these international medias, you find that Kiswahili is widely used in those media like BBC, I think Voice of Africa, Voice of America. In China, the French media also has it, and in many other media. So it's important. Now, as far as including it in our curriculum, I think the Minister of Education has done that. We, perhaps the older generation may have missed that opportunity, but we learned it the harder way in our own ways. So in most of these schools, they have introduced the curriculum of Kiswahili. Yeah.
Thank you, MC, for the opportunity. Participants, I would like to apologize. I know that you want to make submissions, but as you see, all the three topics overlap. So we are guiding that. Please don't feel very bad if you have not been given an opportunity. There will be an opportunity, at least you may submit in the subsequent presentation. Secondly, I think, MC, it would be nice for the presenter to wrap up just in a minute or two, but let me ask
let me give the opportunity to His Excellency the Ambassador to highlight, to give some highlights on one or two things that have been raised from the audience before Mr. Hafid Saleh makes his wrap up. Thank you.
The discussion is very important, and I have a question regarding the one of the comment. Do we have the same culture as our fathers? Do we have the same beliefs, same values?
I know the world is moving. We have a change. Now you can see the building in Dubai like building in China, like building in New York, because this is the science. But we are the same. We have the same values. So culture, Arabic culture is there, and it will be there tomorrow and after tomorrow. Of course there is effect, but the effect is coming through because now we are living in the small village. That means the effects is coming to citizens in US, in Germany, in China. But our culture, Arabic culture, will be there for the coming years. So I don't think, let's say, I disagree with our colleagues here. Arabic culture there, African culture is there. Now we have the same beliefs, we have the same value, we have the same respect for our eldest. I don't think this is going to be changed. Maybe change of a clothes, change of a street, but never changing of a human being. Thank you very much.
May I request Mr. Hafiz to come and wrap up his presentation?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I thank all the contributors towards the topic and the discussion, and I say that I'm happy. My objective of having made my presentation short has been achieved because we have got many ideas from the other people. As His Excellency the Ambassador has said, we are living in a global village. And of course, there ought to be influences from here and there. But the best thing is for somebody to stick to his or her principles. Okay? We are having the World Cup in Qatar currently. We have heard a lot about the pressures that have been put on Qatar about some new behaviors that maybe the Western world wanted to be observed in Qatar. But the people in Qatar took their stand, and they said, no, for us this and this, yes, this and this, no. And life continues. So the same should happen, okay? One of the colleagues was talking about Swahili language. I think you are very much aware also that the word Swahili itself is an Arabic word, Minasawahil, okay, the coast, okay? So influences can be there, but the principle remains. So I would just wrap up by saying that there has been considerable role played by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and one way or another, we have to blend it with our own cultures and keep maintaining our own ways. We should use whatever is exposed to us for the benefit of humanity, okay? And as long as it is beneficial to us, we can take it up, and what is not beneficial, we can leave it. So I thank you once again. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz, for wrapping up this particular topic discussion. Before I call upon the next presenter, I would like to add on my voice to my colleagues who raised issues here. That's Madam Samsha and Dr. Rogers, that we need to have what they call academic and educational exchange programs between the two nations or the two regions, whereby we would have scholars moving from here to universities in Saudi Arabia so that they get exposed to the culture, learn more about the culture. Maybe it would be 6 months or 1 year, so that at least they bring in that culture, and then of course conduct research in that particular case. So let us hope that that point can be taken. You give them microphone.
We put advertisement just maybe around 4 weeks ago regarding scholarship in Saudi Arabia. So there are opportunities for the one who would like to know the culture of Saudi Arabia. So the chances are there to study at the universities of Saudi Arabia in different fields. Thank you.
Now that this gentleman brought the microphone, he is the overall coordinator of this symposium, Dr. Muhammad Chibuka. Let us acknowledge him.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Okay, without wasting time, I would like to invite the next presenter to present on the topic of the role of Arabic language in strengthening the bond between Saudi Arabia and East African countries. I invite Dr. Tajuddin to come and present on this particular topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, moderator. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. His Excellency, the Ambassador, the wife, the respected amiable Vice Chancellor of Kampala International University, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, Dr. Sophie, co-presenters, respected audience, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just for starters, Assalamu alaikum means peace be on you. And I think the Christians, they say shalom, you know, they have the same root. The topic of my presentation is the role of Arabic in strengthening the relationship between Saudi Arabia and East Africa. Now, by way of organizing our conception of what I'm going to say, I would like to take you through the content. First of all, I will do a little introduction. Then I will talk about the status of Arabic language globally, you know, and generally. Then I will particularize by confining and restricting the importance of Arabic language in the context of the East African region. Then thereafter, I will talk about the role of Arabic in Saudi Arabia, East African relations, and thereafter, I will conclude. Now, Your Excellency, 2 years ago, the Chancellor of Kampala International University, Professor Mahmoud Mabdani, made an important observation during our virtual graduation. He said that the current university system from Europe to Africa, from Asia to Caribbean, according to many scholars, has its origin in the Arabic and Islamic madrasa, which started as a comprehensive college where language, culture, science, art, religion were taught in an integrated manner. Now, according to so many scholars, like a scholar I had the opportunity of reading his book titled Saudi Arabia, The Profile of a Kingdom. The scholar is called John Robinson. He said, and I quote, that this particular development that we are talking about has its origin in what is called Arabian Peninsula, which later, part of which later became what we today know as Saudi Arabia. The medium of instruction, of communication, of interaction for that great scientific and cultural contribution to humanity was Arabic language. We still hold a great promise today for more contribution in different manners and in different disciplines. Indeed, the contribution of Arabic language is not confined to a mere medium of expression. It is not confined to scientific and cultural exchanges, but it is also about cross-cultural exchange across different cultures, across different nations, across different people. Like other languages, Your Excellency, the Arabic language contribution and role in strengthening the relation between Saudi Arabia and East Africa could take what I call educative, expressive, and empowerment forms. My apologies to linguists that are here. I actually took this from them, and I modified it, into my own wordings and phrases. Linguists usually say that languages have what they call educative or informative purpose. It has what is called expressive purpose and directive purpose. But for the purpose of this presentation, I decided to adopt two and add my own. I adopted it is educative, it is expressive, and I also added, this is now my own empowerment objectives. Now, this paper explores the characteristic of Arabic language in this respect. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before going further, let us first look at the place of Arabic language globally, the status of Arabic language. Now, Arabic language belongs to the Semitic group of language, or the Semitic family, and the larger Afro-Asiatic group. Now, for starters, Semitic group is the smaller group. The Afro-Asiatic group is the larger group. The smaller Semitic group, you have such language as Aramaic, which is the language of Jesus Christ. You have such language Aramaic, which is language spoken in Ethiopia. We have Hebrew language, and you also have Arabic. Now, the larger one, ladies and gentlemen, which actually conforms, or if you like, is consistent with what the speakers, both the presenter and the contributors have said so far, is Afro-Asiatic, which actually shows the relationship in history between Africa and Arabic. Ladies and gentlemen, this Afro-Asiatic group, you have such languages as Hausa, in West Africa, and many people have harped on Swahili language in East Africa. They all belong to the larger Afro-Asiatic language to which Arabic actually belongs. So which means this relationship is not artificial. It is deep in history, as I'll go on to say. And this relationship is further strengthened by the fact that as Islam spread from Persia, from Arabia to Persia to Africa to other parts of the world, there was that kind of exchange between Arabic language and other languages. Ladies and gentlemen, let me borrow a word used by biologists. The relationship is symbiotic. In the sense, the relationship, oh, it's not good. This is better, I think. The relationship is symbiotic in the sense that as Arabic language gives its wordings and phrases and vocabularies to other languages, Arabic is also permeable, flexible enough, to also adapt and adopt, wordings from other languages as well. Now today, Arabic is the third most widely spoken language in the world, according to UNESCO. It is one of the 6 UN languages. Also, according to UNESCO, it is the language of the Quran, but nevertheless, it is also spoken by many non-Muslims across the world, from Lebanon to Jordan to Africa. It is the language, official language, one of the official languages of the African Union, as well as ECOWAS, which is the regional grouping, for West Africa. Now, having said that, let me talk about briefly the role of Arabic language in East Africa. As it has been reiterated by the previous speaker, as well as contributors, Arab have been involved in trade and live on the coast of East Africa for centuries, in Tanzania, Zanzibar in particular, in Kenya, Mombasa in particular, many still speak Arabic language, alongside with Swahili, which has been adopted as a mother tongue, and also an official language in East Africa. Today, many East Africans speak and write in Arabic for religious, academic, and cultural reasons. This has been enhanced by the opportunities provided by Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries, as well as Arabic learning centers and programs in the region. It has actually improved the lot of Arabic language in the region. Now, ladies and gentlemen, having said this, what is the role of Arabic in Saudi-East African relations? Before I actually go into the particulars, let me again cite UNESCO, because UNESCO is the global body in charge of culture and languages. UNESCO actually says that language is one of the driving forces for unity, for understanding and cooperation between nations and different peoples. UNESCO actually has recognized the role of Arabic, in this regard. Arabic has fostered relationships between so many people across the world. However, Your Excellency, there are still many people of non-Muslim faith who perceive the language as a religion rather than a means of communication. But however, due to the effort of many Arab countries and so many initiatives at the level of UNESCO, as well as the equivalent body in the Muslim world, Islamic Association for Scientific and Cultural initiatives, we now have that changing, as so many people are beginning to see that Arabic is not equivalent to Islam. It is just a language. Many more Muslims are eager to learn Arabic language. And of course, recently, let me cite a personal example. Somebody came to me to ask me if I know somebody who can teach the son of a diplomat in Uganda Arabic. So when I contacted the diplomat, he turned out to be a Christian. He wanted his son, to learn Arabic language. So I asked him, sir, why do you want your son to learn Arabic language? He said, this is one of the happening languages in the world. And as a diplomat, I've seen it all. I'm not restricted into the zoology of, or the zoo of prejudice. I know that Arabic is not a religion, it is a means of communication, and a very important one to add that. Now, the effort of Saudi Arabia in promoting the language, therefore, as a very fertile ground in the historical context I painted the other time, such level of Saudi Arabia has been seen at the local level in Saudi Arabia, as well as at global level in many places, including East Africa. For example, we have the King Salman Global Academy for Arabic Language, which unveiled Linguistic Consultant Platform recently, a digital platform that promotes the use of Arabic language and gives free linguistic counseling to all segments of the society. Now, in East Africa in particular, I had the opportunity to visit the Cultural Center of Saudi Arabia at King Fahd Plaza, which was established, I understand, in the 1990s. I visited their library, and I actually learned a lot from that library. Now, let me conclude without much ado. In conclusion, Your Excellency, Arabic is a global and historical language that is the source not only of great scientific knowledge, but also a tool for understanding between people. Arabic has deep roots in East Africa, making it easier for countries like Saudi Arabia to further explore its potential for educative purpose. What we mean by educative purpose is as a source of information, as a source of knowledge, as a source of spiritual values. Expressive purpose as well. What we mean by expressive purpose is as a source of reconciliation, of understanding, a language that is spoken by not less than 400 million natives and also adopted by hundreds of millions of non-native around the world is definitely a veritable means of reconciliation and peace building and peacemaking around the world. And it is also a means of empowerment. By empowerment, I mean when you are able to speak Arabic, you have the opportunity to seek economic opportunities around. Currently, I have in my house right now a Kenyan who has just been employed by Prince Sultan University. He was our best graduating student in Kampala International University in 2019. And Your Excellency, he currently secured a job as a lecturer at Prince Sultan University. Now, we were together with him. He did his master's in Turkey. And when he visited me in Turkey also, before he came to be with me, he should have been here as well, but I don't want to get crass because he's not invited the list of guests. Now, when I asked him, what happened during the interview? When the Prince Sultan University was interviewing you, then he told me the first thing is that they appreciate my degree from KIU. From Kampala International University. He was our best graduating law student that year. He almost graduated with a first class. And then he said the second thing is the most activities that we do, a lot of exchange programs in Switzerland, in Sweden, and other places. Then the third, this guy speaks French Arabic. He speaks Arabic very friendly. It's called Swale Mengo. He's a Kenyan. And in fact, he's right here, as part of his visa processing activities to go and resume his work in Saudi Arabia. So this is what I mean by empowerment opportunity. And that is why, Your Excellency, I agree and ally with what they call Afro-Arab youth of Uganda when they say that for youth, about 300,000 of them from Uganda who are resident and seeking livelihood in Saudi Arabia, for them to be able to flourish in that society, they need on their own part to learn Arabic. And also the government of Saudi Arabia will also do well to ensure that it also teaches them Arabic. And I understand there is one such program at King Abdulaziz University to teach expatriates, Arabic language, in order for them to be able to flourish better in that society. Your Excellency, I cannot pretend that there are no challenges. There is no relationship without challenges. The purpose of my presentation today is not to dwell on the challenges, given the nature of my topic, which is confined to Arabic. But then one thing I know for sure is that such challenges can be dealt with dialogue. There is no challenges that cannot be dealt with dialogue. Now, and that dialogue, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, that dialogue can be conducted also in Arabic language, as a global language, as an African language, as an East African language, not as a domineering language, but also as a supporting language to other languages like Swahili, Your Excellency, and as well as Hausa. These languages, can be used as a means of dialogue, and then for us to learn Arabic and be able to be fluent in it, we will be able to dialogue not only with 400 million native speakers, but also, more than hundreds of millions of speakers who are non-native who speak the language. And one thing with Arabic is so rich culturally. I wish I speak some Arabic, I speak Arabic. I wish you know how rich Arabic language is. And, it is something that is, peculiar to Semitic group of language, but particularly peculiar to Arabic. And like somebody said, probably it is one of the reasons God Almighty revealed, the glorious Quran in Arabic. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that this language has a lot of potential for dialogue for all the challenges. And I want to urge us to exploit it, as a means of actually, doing some kind of a dialogue between the Arab countries and the non-Arab speakers, including East Africa. And Your Excellency, like one of the speakers rightly said, one of the ways of ensuring that dialogue is to establish Arabic learning centers, more Arabic learning centers across institutions. Institutions are incubators of the future. They are nourishers of youth. And I want to plead also, like Hamza, my sister here, also pleaded with Your Excellency to give us one of such centers in Kampala International University. I thank you very much. I want to... No, the speaker, the other speaker will come and... Yeah, you come and...
It's okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Tajuddin Sani, for this wonderful presentation on the role of Arabic language in strengthening the bond between Saudi Arabia and East African countries. The take home was actually triple E. The triple E is Arabic language is educative, expressive, and empowerment. Now, when you talk about it being an educative language, it's true. I personally, as a testimony, I went to the Middle East country, studied there, and I came across many Arabic literatures. More interestingly, the poems and the other idioms and other components of language. One of them that educated me was, I will just bring it in Arabic, that there was said by one of the old wise men. It flows as follows. يمضي أخوك فلا تلقى له خلفا والمال بعد الذهاب مكتسب. That was an old say by a wise person that the bond between you and your brother cannot be equated to anything. Your brother can leave you and go away and not come back, and you will always be concerned about it and you will not be happy. However, if you lose wealth, you can still recover it. So you cannot replace wealth with a brother. That's the wise saying that I came across in one of the Arabic literatures while I was in the Middle East. So that is educative in nature. Expressive, of course, you can express yourself in Arabic, and there are wonderful expressions in Arabic. If you can understand it, then you will appreciate it. Empowerment, as our colleague mentioned here, it empowers, because normally, as he said, there is that biasness that people always associate Arabic language with their religion. But when you go to their countries, this is a medium of instruction. Science is taught in Arabic, geography taught in Arabic, other disciplines are taught in Arabic. When you go to administration in government institutions, that's the media, they use it. So what our brother presented here, confined in the triple E, is true, and I'm a testimony to that. So regarding religion, as he mentioned here, that they always associated with the Quran. But when you go to the Middle East countries, we have non-Muslim Arabs. In Egypt, you have the Coptics, and the book that they use, whether it's Bible, it's written in Arabic. You go to Palestine, of course, Israel, there are non-Muslims there, and they're using Bible, and that Bible is in Arabic. That's the truth. So, in this case, that should remove the doubt from our head that Arabic is only associated with one religion and is associated with one holy book. So, that is how it is. Now, may I open up the platform for discussion in this particular piece. So, so we now open up the platform and the ground for people to discuss on this particular topic, the role of Arabic language in strengthening the bond between Saudi Arabia and East African countries.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. By name, I'm Ismail Abdul Razak Maganda. student, Kampala International University, and I'm a graduate from Bugembe Islamic Institute. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia,
I would wish to impose these two questions on this side about the Arabic language and the bonding. First of all, the word bonding means exchange of relationships. I think that it means like that, isn't it? Exchange of relationships. Then I have a question asking, since we are always having graduates from Saudi Arabia, Medina, Riyadh, Qura, and so on, we are always having these graduates from Saudi Arabia. I have a very big question. Do we have graduates from East Africa, since we are sharing relationships, Saudi Arabia and East Africa? If we don't have, then it is a very big challenge, and we need to look for the solution. Why don't we have graduates from East Africa to Saudi Arabia? I think my question is as. Secondly, our dear brothers and sisters, they've been talking about the Quran, that we are always having Qurans from Saudi Arabia. But the question is, apart from the Quran, are we having other books, the literature books, science books from Saudi Arabia? If we have them, where are they? Because we are always looking for them, but we're not getting them. I think we should say, let us try to engage other books, not only the Qurans, because we are getting Qurans, mashallah. May the Almighty Allah reward you for that. But even we need other books talking about the culture of Saudi Arabia and so on, even in scientific books and so on. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, we have only 2 minutes for every discussion. 2 minutes, please, strictly. Can we actually keep that time?
Your Excellency, the Ambassador, once again, I'm Dr. Derek. When I'm traveling out of Uganda, when I traveled the first time, they changed my name from Derek to Darak. Your Excellency, a true product of the Uganda Muslim Education Association. My first 4 years of primary, I was in a Muslim school. And indeed, my humility stems from Umeya. Now, I thank the presenter who talked about centers, creation of centers. I recall in my primary school, which is a Umeya primary, we used to receive mentors from Saudi Arabia, and they used to engage us with Realia. Now in teacher education, Realia is teaching, the topic you teach or the theme you have at a time must be related with our day-to-day life experience. So as we think about creation of a center, we need to have Realia into our teaching. Videos, if they are there, we can have them, because what I saw, and even after having gone through all those levels of education, is that even when you're taught at a early age, but because of the realities, it has greater impact in the afterlife. So as we think about the centers, let's bring all that is on board. I was shocked, as he said, my first time to Sudan, the Christians that received me were speaking Arabic, but with a lot of pride. And so even here in KIU, we have teachers from Saudi Arabia, in-service teachers. Whenever they are in the compound, they are in Arabic, speaking Arabic. So our colleagues that are here that are not Muslims, Arabic is a language. But Arabic, how we can engage it with the people in East Africa. The people in East Africa were collaborators. They have one thing in common, humbleness. Arabic teaches humbleness. How do we learn that? Through Realia. I thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm called Leila Mbogo. I'm also a product of UMEA schools. But one of the challenges that may not strengthen the bond between Saudi Arabia and East Africa concerning Arabic is the motivation. I remember when I was in Chibuli Secondary School, the German room was well facilitated. As you are learning, you are watching everything. With the Arabic room, nothing was there. So, motivating learners to study Arabic was very difficult. Many people would learn German, speak French, because the German rooms, the French rooms were well facilitated. But when it came to Arabic, they only thought that Arabic was supposed to be taken by only Muslims, which is not true. So, if the secondary schools and primary schools are facilitated, well facilitated, by the time they come to university, we shall have no challenges. Yes, we developed the curriculum. I also participate in developing the lower new curriculum. Arabic was taken as a by the way. Even in schools, the schools are not choosing it except the few Muslim schools because of the facilitation. The French rooms are well facilitated, the German rooms are well facilitated, the learners are speaking German, the learners are speaking French, but Arabic, Muslims, yet it is a language like any other language. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Once again, I'm Issa Kawali. I teach political science at KIU. Your Excellency, the Ambassador, the presenter, I greatly appreciate your observations. And I wanted to make a little supplement to your presentation, which was very beautiful. And I want to address it in one area, that is cultural diplomacy. You see, whether you like it or not, the first visitors of this country were Arabs. That one we were taught when we were in primary school that they were Arab traders. And these people came to this country around the 1830s, and they came definitely to trade. Coincidentally, they taught Islam. It was by coincidence. And along the way, Islam went in every aspect of our lives. If you read Sir Paul Kagwa's book, the history of Uganda, Samuel Unyigo, Samuel Chonka, all those people really confirm to this notion. Now, I have a colleague who happened to be a specialist in linguistics and was doing his PhD somewhere. And then he showed me a small photo of a letter written by King Mutesa I, writing to his colleague, Kabarega, inviting him to Islam. And I was astonished to see, because I know some little Arabic, the letter was in Uganda, written in Arabic text. It is there in Uganda Museum, please go and see it. It was written in Uganda, but in Arabic text. Then I asked very many questions further. And then I was told by very many scholars, I went to Semakula Chwanka myself, and he confirmed it to me. By then he was the Dean of Graduate College at Makerere University. And then he told me that Buganda was a pure Islamic state between the 1830s up to the coming of the colonial legacy, up to the time when the white man signed the 1884 colonial in Berlin, something like that. Meaning, that everything was run from that perspective, talking, everything, language, dressing. When I looked at that gentleman there, then I reflect on very many portraits I see in these Baganda things. I see somebody dressed in a kanzu inside with a juba outside and a hat. What does it pull your brains to? That the Arabs had influenced even the leadership to dress totally, completely. The dress code of the leaders in Uganda, not only Uganda, was like that. Now, Mutesa, being a shrewd politician around 1866, when Speke and Grant come to Uganda, Mutesa saw Speke dressed in a coat, in a suit like him. And then he also now admired, he was dressed like that. And then he admired the man who was dressed in a suit and a coat. And then he removed the juba, that one. He removed the juba and gave it to one of his aides and requested for the coat and put it on. Do you know what remained inside? Inside it remained a kanzu and a coat and a hat outside. Today, when we talk about the traditional dress of anybody from Uganda, not Uganda, a traditional dress of anybody from Uganda, you talk about the kanzu inside, the coat outside, and maybe a hat, that cap from Uganda, whether you're Muslim or not a Muslim. That is cultural diplomacy. So the Arabs brought this wealth, this value to us up to today. What were we dressing and what can't we really wear today instead of that? So I am kind of thinking that the Arabs had great value that we cherish, that we admire up to today. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The presenter, the VC, His Excellency the Ambassador. We thank Saudi Arabia for the cordial relationship between East Africa, also Uganda. My concern is that in 60s, 70s, someone of my age can still access scholarship in Saudi Arabia. And of late, there is age limit. And the age limit is going to knock us hands down. And if you come to Uganda, you find that one of our houses, they are deleting out the age limit. Therefore, I'm requesting Your Excellency, please, the matter of age limit, you have to consider that. Two, I concur with my sister. Now, if you are putting quotation age limit, therefore you have to open rooms for more Arabic institutions in this country, so that those with the age limit, they can benefit from that. أقول بأن سابقا المملكة السعودية العربية كان يفتح الأبواب في مجالة العلم. تذكرت عندي أستاذ اسمه حاتم نومان ومالا في معهد بوغندا الإسلامي، ترك أمر أو عمل عسكري في سبعينيات وذهب في مملكة العربية وحصل العلم وما إلى ذلك. وقريبا جاء هناك أمر لسن، ولذا نرجو منكم إن شاء الله فليكم أن تترك أمر السن هذا أن يكون فات، لأن حديث الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول العلم من المهد إلى اللهد. وأنا مع أختي التي قالت بأن بالنسبة المملكة السعودية العربي في أوغندا فعليكم أن تفتحوا مجالة العلم مثلا في جامعات KIU
my amiable and able Vice Chancellor, Professor Mpeza, His Excellency, the Ambassador, His Royal Highness from Saudi Arabia, in Uganda, or for Uganda, and the wife, our wonderful visitors, the conveners of this wonderful symposium, my colleagues, and other colleagues in business world, like my friend that's sitting next to me, and the rest of us that are here. I just want to use this opportunity to say thank you for inviting me to this wonderful symposium. I have learned a lot, because when I saw it, like my wonderful colleague, Dr. Tajudeen said, I used to think that Arabic language was a religion. Until today, no, that's the truth. Once you say Arabic, I say, well, that's a Muslim language. But I'm happy today to learn that even in Israel, that is not all Muslims, they speak Arabic. And even part of it, even Jesus Christ spoke Aramaic, which is part of Arabic. I have a question, but I want to tell you what I've learned. I've learned a lot. And I asked a question after what I've said, I'm saying now. You know, they say education is the bedrock of even development. I wish we have more of these symposiums. I will not be talking only things in academic and all that. I used to ask my students in PhD class, why do you think that our researches are not being utilized? It's because there are no such symposiums where people can learn a lot from each other, even across academic and para-academic, those in business and those in industry and those in religion, sect or whatever. So I want to say thank you very much for the convenience of this symposium and our able visitors. I will say shalom. I would have liked to learn that, how do you say, assalamu alaikum. From today onwards, when I see some of you put a hijab, I will no longer say, how are you, or shalom, I will say, assalamu alaikum. I want to ask a question. This is just my appreciation. I want to ask a question. The Arabs came to Africa. They came with a thread. Like my colleague said, doctor. They came with a thread, but I learned that Arabic language is older than English and older than most languages. In fact, it's the oldest language. Now, Swahili came from Arabic language. So many other ones, there are ones I cannot mention here, they came from Arabic, so many of them. And I'm sure if you can research English, they may have borrowed some of their language from Arabic. Now, if the Arab came with a thread, and they came earlier, before the 12th century, and now the colonizers, they know, you know who they are, the West. They came with education, right? So if one came before the other, which is the Arabic language and the Arabs, came before the colonizers, my question is, at what stage did they overthrow? Were they overthrown? Because right now in this room, we are speaking English. And I'm sure everybody is hearing me in English, right? But when you switch over to Arabic language, I'm like, what did he say? So I want you to answer that question. Because it shows us that these ones that came with economic power, and these other ones came with academic power. Are we now saying, which is obvious, that academic power has overthrown the economic power, right? But we know that one gives rise to the other. So that's the gap there. Find out what happened, which is my question now. At what stage did those ones that came with thread were overthrown by those that came with paper and pen and a language called English? If you answer that, I think we can go back in history and redo what we didn't do right. And by the time we establish the Arabic Center, please can you write my name as one of the candidates?
Can we have the last question, please?
I've been given a second chance purposely to answer the professor's question. At what stage was the power and the culture of Arabic swept away? That it was a question, a very good question. But then if you look at the narratives that we laid, that the coming of the Arabs around 1830s, for example, in Uganda, and then coincidentally the white man comes around 1866. With which intention? And then enters the corridors of power of the Buganda state, which was definitely the greatest state around, and Bunyoro. And then, coincidentally, around 1884, the white man makes an agreement somewhere in Berlin. For which purpose? You see the intention? So around 1900, that sums it all. What about the coincidence that there was a religious war between 1877 up to 1890? So the intention of the white man was to finish the deep cultural difference of the Arabs, because the Arabs now were no longer traders, they were now teachers of Islam and Arabic. Do you understand that one? Now, from that date, the white man is coming with not a pen, with a cross also, and a gun. Definitely the Africans had to lose out. So that is the stage. I'm not going to say this particular year, but the chronology of the events tells us the stage at which we lost out. Thank you very much. Have I answered the question?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I am very active this morning. Why? Because I myself, I did my bachelor's in Arabic language. I did my master's in Arabic language. I am a PhD student specializing in Arabic language. So I am an Arab, and this morning I'm so touched. Professor asked why there is no impact of Arabic or Arabic culture in Uganda. The answer is here. If you can look at me, you cannot believe that I'm a very staunch Arab. I am very staunch Arab Muslim. Why? You have seen my background. Even if you come at my home, my sitting room is Al-Jilsa Al-Arabiya. I removed our TV, this local TV, from my sitting room to my bedroom. Why? To inculcate the Arabic culture or Islam in my children. So in the sitting room, there is this big screen, the LCD, to inculcate the culture, the norm, into my kids. So there is no impact outside here of Arabic language. Why? Because we have not learned the science of messaging our culture. We the so-called sheikhs from those countries, because for me, I did my bachelor's from Tripoli, and I worked in UAE. I know Qatar, I went to Morocco, I went to Maghreb, I went to Tunis, I moved. So I am so touched that we are lacking the science of propagating the culture. When a sheikh comes from Saudi Arabia, people here, I don't want to lie to you. Language is a hidden curriculum of religion. I don't want to lie to you, Professor. Language is a hidden curriculum of religion. That's why very many people fear Arabic or to extend themselves near Arabic, because it is culture. However, it is incumbent to us, the teachers, the teachers of Arabic, to know how to propagate it. The science. Me, I am at Makerere. I have spent there more years because I had my studies there. I am working there, but very many people don't know that
Yes, I am they don't know that I am a Muslim, but I am very staunch. Why? Because I know how to package my thing. I know how to package my thing. You may you may say that I'm not putting on a cape, I'm not putting on a kanzu, therefore I'm not a Muslim. But I'm very strange. You saw my culture. I am cautioning the Arabic teachers in Uganda to know how to mingle in this society.
Can you please wind up, sir?
I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We have the last discussant. Before we end this particular topic, discussions and questions, we would like to inform you that we will have an interlude of a poem reciter, a student of KIU, after the presenter wraps up and summarizes his lecture. This last person reminded me of a poem that I studied way back. Of course, our poem is one of the disciplines that strengthens language as far as Arabic is concerned. To the extent that we learned that the Arabs will always send their children to the
rural area, because that's where the languages are very strong. And of course, with the poem, it strengthens the language. Now, our colleague says that he is more Arabic than the Arabs, or he's more Arabic himself. This reminded me of a poem that goes as follows, in Arabic, of course. It says that man nataqa fushan lakum rahimun bihi fawahdatul arab dir'ul majdi yahmihi. Whoever speaks Arabic, that's the translation of the poem, that whoever speaks Arabic, it means that that person has a closer relationship with the Arabs. So therefore, I think the influence of Arab or Arabic language has overwhelmed our brother, the extent that he's more Arab than the Arabs themselves. So, may I call Dr. Tajuddin Sani to wrap up his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I would like to comment on the comment which comes, or it came in form of question from Professor Juma. It came in form of question, but it was a comment actually. He was inquisitive about the reason for the decline of Arabic language and the supplanting of Arabic language by English language. I would like to say that this particular question you raised is going to be the subject of discussion in Germany in April 2023. I think I shared the flyer with Dr. Chibuka. It is titled Arabic in Africa by University of Beirut in Germany. And one of the themes is why is the decline of Arabic, at a point in Africa. If I have the opportunity, I'll give you better answers to be there. But then for now, what came to my mind when you asked the question is that there are a combination of external and internal factors responsible for this. The internal factor can be traced to the statement of our Chancellor that I started with the other time, during the convocation of KIU. He mentioned that the current university system started as a madrasa. That in fact the gown that we use, is actually a kind of adaptation of the jalabia of the Arabs. Especially in Andalusia, what is known as current Spain. It used to be an Islamic empire. political scientists like Dr. Rogers and Professor here. The most I've read the book is called The Class of Civilizations. And one of the topics, or titles, or subtopics in that book is languages. Now, Otinti mentioned that Arabic language actually, more people are speaking Arabic language. But then care has to be taken to ensure that it doesn't cause a clash. You understand? He actually talked in terms of conflict and class of civilization. I took the opposite position of dialogue. There should be dialogue of civilization, not class of civilization. And, one point he made is this. There are now so many centers of Arabic language in the Western world. From Germany to America, there are so many centers, right? And these centers are not new. They started a long time ago with the School of African and Oriental Studies. Now I'm coming to the externalism. Before the colonialists came to Africa, one of the things they did was to learn Arabic at the School of African and Oriental Studies in UK, University of London. And I recall that one of the things they did was to dispatch Arabic speakers to West Africa and East Africa. One of the persons they dispatched to West Africa is called Clapperton. Clapperton met the Sultan, and he saw a book with him in Arabic, The Element. The Element is a book, of mathematics, the oldest book of mathematics in the world. It's called The Element. Now, he saw the Arabic version. He was amazed that I thought these people are only dealing with religion. How can I find the element here? And then he spoke with them in Arabic language. He understood what they were doing. Then he went back to UK to write a report. It was those reports that was used, to colonize Africa, West Africa, East Africa, and the rest of Africa. So, which means the colonization of Africa was also partly due to the learning of Arabic. So, if you want to regain the glory of Arabic again, I think it is good we also learn Arabic. So this is my message. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tajuddin, for this wrap-up and clarification on certain issues that were raised during the discussion and question session. Of course, Professor Ijoma's question will still remain, and it will be ringing in our heads, and we need to go back home and think over it. At what point did we slip and the Western languages took over? Of course, we are looking at a trend where China is becoming one of the rising superpower. Sooner or later, Mandarin language will take over. So we have to be very careful with that. Before I call the last speaker, let us invite one of our students here to recite a poem in Arabic. That is Mr. Juma Ahmed Musa. Mr. Juma Ahmed Musa.
الحمد لله مستزيد أضاء من آلاؤه لا تنتهي عددا سبحانه من إله محمد بين الورى يا سيد الوقلاء ويا خير الورى يا من أتيت إلى الحياة مبشرا وبئت بالقرآن فينا هاديا. After praising Allah the Almighty and thanking Him for giving us a chance to sit in such a congregation where we are learning about the culture of Arabs and in East African culture. And as some of the students, some of the victims who have got the chance of studying a little of Arabic, today I've been given a chance to at least raise a poem of which we'll be talking about Arab and the Arabic language at large. My poem goes as this: لغة القرآن يا شمس الهدى صنعك الرحمن من كيد العادة هل على وجه الثرى من لغة أحدثت من مسامع الدهر صدى مثل الحديثة في عالم عنك لا يعلم شيئا أبدا قصدت مسامع العالم بدأت أقال وطغنى وحده وعلى ركنك أرسل العلماء خبر توكيد بعد المبتدأ أنت علمت الآلة على النهاية هي أقل المرعى لا ملا أفسد ووضعت الأسماء وفعل ولم تترك الحرف طريق السيد أنت من قومت منهم ألسان. This one, it comes to mention of Arabic language as Ashams, Lughatul Quran, being a language of Quran, and not just language of Quran. Salaka Rahman min kaydil ada. But Allah gave us this language. We see in all books. All books were revealed in the same language, Arabic. And we are only lucky that all cultures, we are learning something from the Arabs. It is a culture from us all that here in Uganda, you find different cultures, kingdoms, they get to wear thobs, kanzu, as one of their culture thing. But it came with the Arabs. So we are picking a culture from them. And educatively, some of us who have gotten a chance of studying a little bit of Arabic, we've learned how Arabs live and the sweetness of the language. For those who know the little bit of Arabic, of what I started with, at least I saw some smile on the face of people, and I was happy. And especially, some of us, we are afraid of using Arabic because we fear that our colleagues are going to say, this person is just showing off that he knows Arabic. Because we are afraid of the expressive part. And empowerment part, I would like to ask Your Excellency, that of the some regions that I went to study, from the coast, Malindi, Mombasa, Dar es Salaam, there are more Islamic centers, and not just Islamic to teach Muslims, but teaching Arabic as a language. As an empowerment, I would like to ask if it is very possible, of which with God it is possible, that you extend this to us. That even here at KIU, we stand in the compound and speak Arabic, and we enjoy Arabic. Because in one of the schools that I went to in Malindi, they only told us you only speak Arabic or Swahili. Arabic or Swahili. Just to teach us this language, not to teach us the religion, but the language. So I would like to wrap up from here. I thank everyone who has attended. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Mr. Juma, for this melodious poem, an educative one. I will not translate it, of course, we are badly off in terms of time. Let us proceed to the next presenter, who's going to present on the topic of the integration of social-economic development between Saudi Arabia and East African countries. The presenter is Dr. Kanat Sanga Harun Sinan, lecturer at this. quality of education and distance learning. You're welcome, Dr. Gansa.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Vice Chancellor, protocol observed, because one talked about time. Always those who come at this time also they have issues of what? Of time. Therefore, let us accept the issues of time in the time given. Our issue today is the integration of socio-economic development between Saudi Arabia and East African countries. My name is Ghana Haruna Sinan, a senior lecturer in the College of Education, Kampala International University. When I was told to talk about this, my head got many things and started thinking about what East African really is on the Saudi Arabian perspective. And I came up to say something that the real economic and the social bonding between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that have existed and have an impact on one of the depth parts of Great Lakes. Uganda inclusive, that was named part of Africa. There is that economic bonding that existed, not today, but it started a long time. Why? Because when we talk about Arabic, we have talked about trade, we have talked about everything that means there is something about economic bonding. Now, what is integration? That is referred to unity. Ittihad or interaction, ta'amul. Now, even the bond might be cultural, ethnic, racial, based on gender, or due to shared beliefs that we have. All of these contribute to our economic what? To our economic development and social, especially in East African countries. Because what is happening in Uganda is not far from what is happening in Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and now have South Sudan. It is the same. And the biggest thing we see now in East Africa economically, on part of Islamic part, everybody think about Saudi Arabia. Now, the objective, we have to clarify the economic development, integration. That is why we are here today, so that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia can feel that we feel it in our economic development and social interaction that we have. And also the human values that are rich in cultural heritage in a new scientific style. That one, we are not going to look at it very far there, because one was, and the speakers and the interactions have come that what made it to be. We have the new scientific style of understanding things that we cannot remove. So that is why we decided to come and present. Also, the importance of study also, we established the code of ethnic and human values to present reference on two things: legal, expert, and activities that are socio-economic transformation. Because in Uganda we are talking about socio-economic transformation as it is. In Saudi Arabia, the king is talking about socio-economic transformation. So that integration must be there. That can be clearly understood in several phenomena. I want to talk about the two things because of time. One, we are going to see the economic development, socio-economic development in social beliefs, how society believes our beliefs, and two, the common cultures that we can help to move on. Now, what is shared beliefs? We say Saudi Arabia is the birthplace of Islam. That is no doubt. That is the birthplace of what? Islam. And most, it is natives are adherent to majority Sunni. That is the Uganda way, Sunni. No one can say that, can deny that. Also, that Sunni is guiding mostly the Saudi society in prayers, fasting, Hajj. The same as we have in Uganda here today. Because those three, the Sunni guidance is even believed by all societies in where? In Uganda. And that is the reason why even you find out now, many shops in Kampala are talking about that. Now when it is the Eid coming, you see everybody is running to buy what? A council. So might have other what? Other dresses. So the closing of fasting, I remember when I was young, my father was sending us to buy small battery to listen for the announcement of the month of what? Ramadan. But you can move in 10 shops around when all the battles have been what? Taken now, and you don't get it, and you go back and the man can slap you. Because he must listen the announcement from where? From Saudi what? Arabia. Two, the hijab. The same. Everybody is listening. So we follow. We are following that as a social belief. In other ways, we are economically developed because you cannot get a battery for free. This one is looking for it, and also you should acquire it. You want or not. Then, also, we have the Islamic education in Uganda, especially primary education. I studied in primary school. We are following the curriculum of what? Saudi Arabia, the book of King Saudi. And I remember when I was very young and King Faisal came here, I was, I think, 2-3 years of age. But it took a long time for my father to accept that he saw King Faisal by what? By, yes, and he kept that kanzu that he put on, seeking up to now. He died some years, but the kanzu remained, and they said, keep this kanzu because I put it on when King Faisal. Yes, that is true. He came to where? To Uganda. That means there is that social development that came. And also, we have sports links. We don't want neither. We have cultural links, dressing, music. You see the material here, and also the religious architectural designs that you will understand the mosque when it look like Saudi what? And the engineers here are fighting now because when you know our architectures now, they are getting problems. Others say, I must get a ticket to go to Saudi Arabia to see how they construct their what? That is integration, economic development. Also, conduct behaviors of religious leaders. I want to assure that a religious leader here, Sheikh, is putting on like that man who is there. And when you look at him, you confirm that he is a sheikh here. For us, we are calling him what? A sheikh. But that dress is recognized even by the president of what? Of Uganda. If you don't put it, he might not recognize that you're Muslim what? Leaders. So it has become expensive to get it in the markets of what? Of Kampala, because it is a cloth of big what? Sheikhs. Also, we have common cultures that can help us to develop the social economic development. That is traditional kingdoms we established for so many years. That is there. We have the Ugandan kingdoms here, which we have, and they have talked about it. I don't want to waste time on it. And then we have traditional lifestyles that have changed it over many years. Yes, there is some traditional lifestyles that we have changed for so few years, but it is still helping to develop the economy. Now, I had someone who was moving that one. When we talk about people, we say both Saudi Arabia and Uganda are ethnically heterogeneous. That is, we have accepted. As even from the settled group, we have the nomadic population, and then the Seda, the people who sit and go. We have all of these in South Africa. We have the settled people in towns. We have those who are cattle, and you have those who are in between there. They are traders. So they have this issue. One, they are inclusive societies. That is helping us to move at that. Two, they are welcoming people. And three, they are religious people. The three, we have them in Uganda. Saudi Arabia is welcoming each and every person, every year, every time. Uganda also the same one. Today, East Africa, I think in Uganda here, we have been ranked the most country to welcome refugees. That means there is economic one. If the people are not welcoming, the foreigners cannot enjoy in the country. Also, we have issues on languages. The language we are speaking in Uganda here, most languages, not one. They are very near to Arabic. Even some words remain there. Even some places remain there in Arabic. We have Chikopo, Hoop, which is the Arabic language. And also we speak Swahili, which is 50% of its words are in in Arabic. So that one also is helping. Now, we have many words adopted from Arabic, and it was there as a must. For instance, even we have some area here, we call it Budu. Masaka, Budu. Yes, that one, when these Arabs came here, they were moving from this kingdom to another one. When they reached there was some issue. They say, La Buddha, Amsik, Nafsaka, La Buddha, Kabla Dakhruj. Fahada Samainahu Masaka what? Budu Minina Kasumia what? Budu, Fahada, that is Arabic language. Because they say it should be there. And they did not change anything. Then also, I don't know who was running this way, did he go, but don't worry. I'm about to finish, maybe he's dead, but you don't worry. Then we have some places, we named that name of Arabic, did not change. This council of yours, because the king was given some gold, and because of that gold, he got the council. The council is the place that kept what? Gold, and the busut, the ready of what? Women, or gomes, which is gumash, in what? In Arabic. So those are some of the issues. Now, when you look at all of these in our markets here, they are there, and they are helping people to move. Now, when we go to economic integration in the last century here we are looking at Saudi Arabia as a higher peak, because it is, according to the 2022, I think 2020, they are saying its GDP is 1.5 trillion So it is higher than Uganda, which is 1.4 billion something. So we need to when we are talking about integration, we need to know, because economic development, you always get what to give and what you receive. But at this level here, we are receiving much from Saudi Arabia because they have much. And we are taking a few because we have few. For instance, now we have known as our coffee export in Saudi Arabia. It is there. We are enjoying it. When you go and find the Uganda coffee, at least you enjoy for that. But others like labor export, we have 1.5 M workers in Saudi Arabia up to today. That Uganda has exported what? Labor. And they are welcomed there. They are doing a very good money for us. I want to thank the King of Saudi Arabia to allow Ugandans to do what? To go there. Also, we are talking about the capital movement in economic what? Development. We have the IDB bank that is looking after our issues always. We have some debts, although there are some issues that are still wanting with Saudi Arabia, working on Islamic banking and so on, which we think that is going to come. And also, we have the Fahadi Plaza there. It is a real indicator of integration between the kingdom of one. Even if you don't know how to, you don't know Saudi Arabia, that is not King Fahd. When you say King Fahd Plaza, everybody will know that is typical Saudi what? Saudi Arabia. Then we have human capital. And they have enough scholarships. When I was studying in Madrid some years, every student like me wanted to go to Saudi Arabia. And they are telling us, if you get Mumtaz, first class, the scholar is what? So we are reading hard to make sure that we get scholarship to what? To Saudi Arabia. And that one is a human capital development, which is done for free. Uganda is not paying anything. They are sending a ticket here, they take you from here, they dress you, they teach you, they feed you, they treat you, and they give you a certificate. That is a very clear indicator of what? Now, we have the social organization that we have benefited from them. Many, for instance, like OIC. We have OIC has helped us too much. We have some, even the infrastructure that is even now, it is donated by the Kingdom of what? Saudi Arabia, Chibuli TTC. It is there. That one, even if you wake up, you find it. Leave the boreholes. Leave the what? The boreholes, leave other institutions that we have, but we have libraries. All the Islamic school libraries here full of books from Saudi Arabia. And we are getting them for free. There is no day, even during fasting, I don't know, the time now, we are getting dates, because that one made even my younger boy to fast. He's in P2. Yes, you should know that is economic what? A social what? Development. When because you think that there is a date, the father going to bring what? From Saudi Arabia. So he should fast, because those who are not fasting, we are not given. Therefore, we are requesting as now His Excellency is around, the days to surface more, so that many others also continue to do what? To fast. I want to conclude, because this one gave me 5 minutes, and I think I've used it. From the foregoing, it has been established that the relationship between Saudi Arabia and East African countries goes back to 3 times. That one has no doubt. 2, they span different fields such as culture, language, education, science, diplomacy are all existing, and we are gaining from them. The diplomacy, you have it now. Saudi Arabia, king has sent his ambassador here to sit with us, and I think we are lucky because we are saying, "Man yara safiru khadim haramain faqad ra'a." That one, who see the ambassador of, you have seen the king himself. So we are with the king here. We want to thank you very much for that. And that one also will increase in our knowledge, understanding, and even also Saudi Arabia played an important role in the fields of what continue to play such a role, all of those roles that continue to play with them, because we in Africa we got one issue that the Islam came on a trading way. It was not well organized that other people come. But when Saudi Arabia stood like this, Islam went up. And even many Muslim traders are enjoying there. Hijab there about, if you go to these markets here, I think 60% of Muslim youth having shops of what? Hijab. And you ask, this comes from where? Saudi Arabia is more expensive. I want to stop there because of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sanga Haruna. That is him with his remedial presentations. Sometimes we need it, of course, to entertain and make us forget about oversitting. Regarding this particular topic presented by him, of course, it is obvious that we have seen the effect of the integration of social economic development between Saudi Arabia and the East African countries. To be specific in the region and specifically in Uganda, we have seen several financial institutions in Saudi Arabia financing some of the mega projects within the country, ranging from road construction, hospitals, schools, sponsoring institutions of higher learning, investors coming to invest in agricultural area. Of course, the exporting of labor is seen. So that will actually guide our discussion as far as this particular topic is concerned. So may I now allow the participants to get involved in the discussion about this particular topic.